Welcome to Easy English Story, where real-life stories come alive in simple English. From legends to icons, every story here is full of inspiration, motivation, and life lessons. Perfect for learning English the easy way. Let's dive into today's journey. Galileo Galilei, the man who defied the heavens. Introduction. A child of curiosity. Galileo Galilei was born on February 15, 1564, in Pisa, Italy, at a time when the world was still in the grip of traditional beliefs about nature and the cosmos. His father, Vincenzo Galilei, was a musician and a thinker, and Galileo inherited from him a passion for questioning and experimenting. Even as a young boy, Galileo's curiosity burned bright. While other children played, he asked why things fell, why stars shone, and what lay beyond the sky. In his teens, Galileo was sent to University of Pisa to study medicine. But it didn't take him long to realize that his true love was mathematics and physics. He was fascinated by the precision of numbers and the secrets of nature. They could unlock. He switched subjects and embarked on a path that would lead him into the center of one of history's greatest scientific revolutions. Early experiments and breakthroughs. One of Galileo's first major scientific observations came while watching a chandelier swing in a cathedral. He noticed that no matter how far it swung, it always took the same amount of time to complete one arc. This led to his early work on pendulums, which would later play a role in the development of accurate clocks. In 1589, he was appointed as a professor of mathematics at the University of Pisa. There, he performed his famous experiment from the Leaning Tower of Pisa, where he dropped two spheres of different masses and proved they hit the ground at the same time-challenging Aristotle's claim that heavier objects fall faster. These experiments revealed Galileo's rebellious spirit. He was not afraid to question ancient authorities. Even Aristotle, whose teachings had dominated science for centuries. The telescope and the skies beyond. In 1609, news reached Galileo of an invention in the Netherlands, a device that could make distant objects appear closer. Galileo quickly built his own version of this telescope, improving on the design significantly. With this new tool, he turned it not to distant ships, but to the heavens. What he saw would shake the very foundation of human understanding. He discovered that the moon had craters and mountains, contradicting the idea that celestial bodies were perfect and smooth. He saw moons orbiting Jupiter, proof that not everything revolved around the Earth. He observed phases of Venus, which could only be explained if Venus orbited the Sun. He saw that the Milky Way was not just a misty cloud, but composed of countless stars. These observations gave strong support to the heliocentric model proposed by Copernicus that the Sun, not the Earth, was the center of the solar system. Conflict with the Church. Galileo published his findings in Sidereus, Nuncius, the starry messenger, in 1610, causing a sensation across Europe. But while many celebrated his discoveries, others were outraged. At that time, the Catholic Church held enormous power, and it had long supported the geocentric model that Earth was the center of the universe. The heliocentric model challenged not only scientific thought, but also religious doctrine. In 1616, the Church issued a warning to Galileo not to promote Copernican ideas. Galileo agreed, at least publicly, but in 1632 he published his most famous work, Dialogue Concerning the Two Chief World Systems. Though presented as a balanced discussion between geocentric and heliocentric models, it was clear that Galileo favored the sun-centered view. He even named the defender of the Earth-centered model Simplicio, which many took as a mockery. The Church reacted swiftly. Galileo was called to Rome and tried by the Inquisition in 1633. Trial and house arrest. At his trial, Galileo was found guilty of heresy. He was forced to recant his beliefs under threat of torture. Legend has it that after he recanted, he muttered, "Eper si move," and yet it moves, referring to the Earth's motion around the sun. Galileo was sentenced to house arrest for the rest of his life. Though imprisoned in his own home, Galileo's mind remained free. He continued to write and conduct experiments, including work on motion and gravity. His book, Two New Sciences, laid the foundation for classical mechanics and influenced later scientists, including Isaac Newton. Scientific legacy. Galileo's work changed the world forever. He laid the groundwork for the scientific method experimentation. Observation and mathematics proved that nature could be described in mathematical laws, disproved long-held beliefs through empirical evidence, brought astronomy, physics, and philosophy into a new era. He is often called the father of modern science, and rightly so. Personal struggles and family. Galileo's personal life was not without hardship. He never married but had 3 children with Marina Gamba. His 2 daughters, Virginia and Livia, became nuns, and he had a close bond with Virginia, who took the name Sister Maria Celeste. Their letters to each other reveal a warm, loving relationship that gave Galileo comfort during his trials. His later years were marked by blindness, possibly caused by his long work with telescopes. Even as his sight faded, his vision for science remained bright. Galileo died on January 8, 1642, at the age of 77. Posthumous recognition. It took centuries, but the world eventually recognized Galileo's greatness. In 1992, over 350 years after his trial, Pope John Paul II formally acknowledged the Church's error in condemning Galileo. Today, Galileo is remembered as a hero of truth, a scientist who dared to defy dogma in search of reality, a star among stars. Galileo's story is not just about telescopes and planets. It is about courage, curiosity, and the power of the human mind. He reminds us that truth is not always popular, and those who speak it may face resistance.